Professor evolved the short form originally when he was teaching at the Whampoa Military Academy, which is kind of their version of West Point. And he had a relatively limited amount of time to work with the people there, so he created this short form. And then he realized it'd be beneficial for a lot of people because they don't have the time to either learn the longer form or, even more difficult, spending the time day in and day out practicing it. So he boiled the form down to the 37 postures, mostly by taking out repetitions. And that's why he created the short form. And since then, a lot of other people have created short forms too, but as far as I know, he was the first one to do that. Trained with the professor for about 3 years, the last 3 years of his life. And being relatively new to Tai Chi at the time, I was not a lineage student. He had students like Ben Lowe that had practiced with him since the late 1940s. And people in New York, not that long, but a pretty long time. But just being around him and getting to practice with him, even without going over to his house the way some people did, things like that. The thing I noticed about him more than anything is he was always present. Whenever you were with him or you saw him doing medicine or calligraphy or the other things he would do in the school besides teaching, there was never a time when he wasn't present. It was just a very powerful feeling. I remember the first time I saw him, I was walking up the stairs and he was he had a medical clinic going on. When you went to the school in New York, the right side of the building was the Tai Chi space and the left side was kind of more where he saw his medical clients. And he was just sitting at his little desk there. He had a little desk and he'd put your hand on a little pillow when he would take your pulses and write his prescription for you. It's just this overwhelming sense of this man was really here. It wasn't any place else, he was here. And it was a very powerful feeling right from the beginning that I never saw him when he wasn't that way. Well, they're really sort of like two sides of the same coin. The principles are very similar even though the forms are different. So the importance on relaxing, on staying connected to your partner, on letting the body move in a natural way, as well as the work with the internal energies and those kinds of things. And if you look at sort of the structure of the practice, in the professor's book, he talks about the 3 levels of Tai Chi. He calls it the human, the earthly, and the heavenly level. And in O Sensei's book, he talks about the manifest level, the hidden level, and the divine level. So they're talking about exactly the same states of consciousness. And the forms are just ways of approaching those states of consciousness so that you can occupy them, you can experience them. So it's really very, very similar, even though the forms are kind of different.